Hello physical fiends, how you doing? It's Jordan here with another physical discounts video. A few games I've seen for decent prices recently for all consoles. Links are down below if you want to purchase and support me at the same time. Check the description or the pinned comment, that really helps me out. First, let's start with VGP, who have free worldwide shipping if you purchase anything over 80 Canadian dollars, which is about 60 American dollars. In fact, the prices I mentioned here in this video will all be US dollars, so when you click on their site, it will look a little different initially unless you click the change the currency icon. Tales of Symphonia Remastered did not release in the best of states. I remember looking at the Switch version over on Switch Watch, but now there are patches and one assumes it's now in a reasonable state. And the PS4 physical release is more than a reasonable price. I am shocked to say that one of the most well-loved JRPGs of its era is just $7 on the PlayStation 4. Like, how? Why? It's lovely. Get it now, it should be fixed. Fight and Rage is just $22 on the Nintendo Switch, which is a great price for a supposedly excellent beat 'em up. Remember, Limited Run did this one before, but this is the retail release that came afterwards, and this is the best price it has been. If you want one of the better beat 'em ups of the modern era, then look no further. Curse of the Dead Gods on the Switch is also $22, and this is a limited run release. Very cheap. Again, I've heard very good things about it as an action roguelike. If you're looking for the next Hades itch to scratch, then this one will be a good one to take a look at. Or you could just buy Hades on the PlayStation 5, which is just $14.50, which is a crazy price for one of the indie games of this decade. Was it this decade? Maybe, I don't know. Time has no meaning for me. Sadly, the Switch physical is not the same price, but still, if you play on PS5, fantastic. Kingdom Hearts all-in-one package is an incredible $29 on the PlayStation 4. This is all 10 Kingdom Hearts games in one. That is an absolutely crazy price for such a content-rich package. I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game before, but I definitely want to buy this myself. It's on back order and stock should be arriving in September. Astro Knight is $14.50 on Switch and PlayStation 5. The PS4 version is $11, the perfect price for a lo-fi Metroidvania. In fact, it's cheaper than buying it digitally. Simple controls, higher end difficulty, interesting art style. I think it's worth the punt if you're into Metroidvanias. Ni no Kuni 2 on the Nintendo Switch is a really tempting $14.50. It's been around this price before, I believe, but if you missed out, now is a good chance to purchase a very lovely JRPG. I think I prefer the first game, to be honest, but this is a content-packed sequel and one of the better modern JRPGs. Lordwinklebottom Investigates is a really nice $14.50 on Switch and $11 on PlayStation 4. If you want a really funny, quirky adventure game, then you may want to investigate Lordwinkle's Bottom. You'll probably find piles of entertainment. Like all games of this type, it's a bit shorter than one would like, but you know, that's where this discount comes in super handy. It's a really nice price. Werewolf Apocalypse of the Heart is a visual novel adventure game set in Poland, and it has some werewolves in a forest, if you can believe it. The Nintendo Switch version is $14.50, while the PS4 version is $11. It's not the longest VN in the world, about 6 hours or so that price really helps out now. Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries, and Shadows of New York is a very similar situation, with it being $14.50 on Switch and $11 on PlayStation 4. This is a double pack of visual novels, or maybe more like adventure games. Really nice artwork, although I've heard they're not the best in terms of story, like if you watch my visual novels ranking video. It didn't feature very highly, let's just say that. Arcade Spirits: The New Challengers is a European exclusive physical release, the second game in the series. Video Games Plus do have Switch copies of it though, and it's available for $14.50. It's a pretty common price. This is a visual novel. It is a love or hate kind of thing though. It has its hardcore fans, but I think more like serious VN fans do look down on it a little bit, but you know, whatever floats your boat. Blue Reflection was one of VGP's bigger reprints, on PlayStation 4 of course. It was very popular, and now they've got excess stock left over from the reprint, so they've discounted that from $60 to $44. So not exactly like an earth-shattering bargain, but if you thought the $60 was too much for an old game, this is much nicer, and is cheaper than what you could get it on eBay for. It's a JRPG from Gust when they decided to have a break from making the Atelier games. Omari only has a very small discount on Switch. It's $29 right now, but I feel like mentioning this because very recently it was announced that the European physical release was cancelled due to localization challenges. So if you're waiting for the European version, well, stop, okay? Maybe get this North American edition instead. Alright, let's take a look at PlayAsia, who have some, decent sales. Remember, you can get 5% off with the code Jordan24, at least on some of these, unless they're part of a special site-wide promo going on, I'm not sure. Clockwork Aquario on PlayStation 4, the Japanese version is just $14. It plays in English and is way more affordable than the European equivalent, which was released in limited quantities via Strictly Limited Games. The game itself isn't hugely substantial, but if you want some 90s arcade action, it's actually very satisfying, and to own it physically for $14, that's a good price for me. Sticking with the PlayStation 4, you can get Trials of Mana, the Asian version, which plays in English, for $15, which is a great price and cheaper than buying a brand new Western one. This remake was pretty good, some places a little bit ropey. You can see it didn't get quite the same budget as the Final Fantasy VII remake, but for $15, it's an enjoyable JRPG with lots of replayability. Capcom Belt Action on Nintendo Switch. This is an import exclusive that can be either $18 or $20 depending on which version you want. There's a Korean release, which is the cheaper one, or the best priced Japanese version, which admittedly does have ugly box art, but I think it's a great price for 7 classic arcade games. They both play in English, so it's up to you. The Dragoness Command of the Flame is an import exclusive release with English. It's on Switch, but if you want a discounted version, then check out the PlayStation 5 release. I don't talk about PlayStation 5 imports much because I don't know much about them, but I do know that this did not get a Western physical on any console, so for $18, that's a decent price to give this strategy RPG a punt. It's probably what it should have been sold for initially. As I said, it's also available on PS4 and Switch as an import exclusive, but those are not discounted at this moment. Idle Manager, a similar situation. It's also a PS5 import exclusive and it's very cheap at $18. This is basically Fallout Shelter, but has a much better premise of building an idle empire. Hire them, train them, pimp them out. You can't get that experience for $18 in real life. Again, it's also on Switch and PS4, but those are not discounted right now. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Just the base version, alright, the base game can be bought for $24 brand new. That's if you fancy getting the Korean version. It plays in English, so you don't really have to worry. It's very affordable. Of course, I think most of you own it already, but if you don't, this is a really affordable way of getting it. $24 for Breath of the Wild? Alright. Maran Forest, technically not discounted, but this is not a particularly easy import exclusive to get a hold of. Well, PlayAsia have found some Korean copies for a very reasonable price, and it plays in English. Not the best game ever, it's more like a fever dream. Very peculiar RPG. If you've been looking out for a copy, now you can get it for $29. Fate Extella is very cheap in Japan right now. You can get the best priced version for just $19. This does have English. I have it myself. I have this exact version and I bought this myself, you can see. And it's a great way to play a satisfying Masu style game. Cheaper than the Western release. And there we have it, guys. Which discount is taking your fancy? Please let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you do want to buy any of them, please use the links in the description and the pinned comment. That massively helps support Physical Paradise in the best way possible. And I love you all very, very much. Thank you. Thank you.